Story 1, Chapter B. The Seven Magical Adventures of Jenai. The Quest for the Ancient Wisdom Map. The Brotherhood of Pau. Presented and narrated by Jim Jarrah, the storyteller, representing the guiding force of fantasy and magic, residing in Fairy Tale Palace Planet. Chapter B. Ertos and the Red Planet. Jenai woke up, looking around her, flying in between stars, and enjoying the view of planets, which were formed in all kinds of shapes and colors. It was a smooth ride in Morai's golden space carriage, chauffeured by Dionyx. The space carriage was pulled effortless by the invisible Hansas, and here and there Jenai could hear Dionyx making certain sounds to which the Hansas responded. At times he called the swans buffaloes, then reindeer. Come on, girls! Stop the nonsense! You are confusing these innocent souls. One day they believe what you call them, spoke Morai. I do not understand, said Jenai. Words and thoughts are very powerful, because we create our realities or contribute to others creating their realities through them. Just think about repeating to say that you are afraid of something. It is then just a matter of time that you will be afraid of that something. Also calling ourselves or others stupid, even though we may not really mean it. Playing with thoughts and words is a very delicate matter. Dionyx, who definitely didn't mean wrong with his way of playing, understood the message, but couldn't let completely go of his way of playing and dressed Morai, Niama and Jenai up in reindeer costumes. By looking at Morai, knowing that he was taking it too far, he changed the trio back into their own clothes. It was a little strange for Jenai to hear these conversations in regards to the Hansas, as she was unable to see them, but knew they were the engine of the space carriage. They flew seemingly, Dionyx knowing where they had to go, in between enormous planets, with very little light, as this part of the universe was dark and filled with shadows. There was no sun, but comets, giving some light from within them, comets that were passing by in high speed, which was all the light there was. After some time, Jenai asked Morai, Are you in a lot of pain, Morai? Not at all, as long as I don't move too much, Jenai. I am able to enjoy the ride. As you are the messenger of love, can I ask you some questions? Go ahead. Where does love come from, Morai? Love comes from the ocean of life and love. The realm of Kandu, the source of love, the one who has been given so many names throughout history. Kandu, the one who has been given so many names, is the giver and sustainer of love and life, the force of life that is connected to and within everything. When love is in everything and everybody, why is there so much lack of love in the world, and why do so many bad things happen? Jenai asked immediately. We block that love, because we identify with the world of body, mind and matter, and when we do that, we are under the spell of Kalimobanko. We believe only what we see, but you know that there is more than the eye can see. Remember that everything is a make-believe world, as nothing is permanent in creation, and know that we can lose ourselves in this serious created man world. The world of fantasy and magic, which is also a make-believe world, is a better place, as we can perceive life with more zest and fun. But we also can get trapped in that world. In order to really know and experience what real life and real love is, we must reconnect with Kandu, the source and ocean of love. How can I do that? When he calls you and connects you, you will know. Why do I have to wait? It is not about waiting, for we have to go through our life experience. And by the way, in the realm of Kandu, time doesn't exist. Maybe he has called you, but you are not aware of it. For the time being, enjoy life and make the best out of it, and be aware of Kalimobanko, who is everywhere in creation, but also in you. He is our mind, created with two sides and many characters within as well. Is he for that reason called the one with the many faces? Yes. And he too, like Kandu, has been given many names such as evil, demon, negative power, devil, Kal, and Satan. Kandu itself is just pure love, but when he created creation, Kalimobanko was put in charge as the governor. Some people know Kalimobanko as the universal mind, which knows everything about creation. After the creation was occupied with souls, crystal children of eternal light, it was Kalimobanko's task to keep them in creation, until Kandu would give the instruction to let them start their home journey, to come back to the ocean of love. Jenai responded, so Kalimobanko is still the bad guy? No, Jenai. He is the governor of all possible in the creation. But we shop for things that keep the soul within us away from Kandu. We forget about Kandu because we keep playing in the creation, but he will call us home at one point in time. Kalimobanko, the universal mind, has also very important things that we need in order to experience Crystallia, the creation, for it offers us the basic life skills in order to live and function. However, it is a fine line working with Kalimobanko, for we get distracted and attached and involved with things we really don't need. Space pirates. Suddenly, out of nowhere, they were surrounded by serpent-like looking pirate ships. Each ship, dark in color, had a huge alive serpent face, and the rest of its body looked like a pirate ship, but was not made of wood, as expected, but it was part of the serpent's long fleshy body. They all moved snake-like and attacked from every side and from below and above. Jenai saw the window openings on the sides of the serpent's body, and inside big-size slingshot cannons. On the decks she could see catapult launchers, and near the railings strange-looking characters, all dressed in dark red woolen robes with hoods, with designs of flames, and having slingshot rifles, slingshot crossbows, arm-size slingshot cannons, and hand-size catapults in their hands. The faces looked grim, and they all had tattoos and piercings. Within no time, the catapult launchers were all shooting big-size rocks, and hand-size and smaller-size rocks coming from the pirates on the deck, and Dionyx had to act fast and maneuvering the golden space carriage so they would not get hit. Jenai started to scream. "Watch this," spoke Dionyx. Everywhere around the golden space carriage, trampolines popped out as a defense shield, and the arriving rocks bounced back to the pirates and damaging a lot. Dionyx maneuvered in between all the ships, and Jenai saw even serpents turning around their own axis and pirates falling off into space. It didn't last long before the pirates disappeared, just like they had showed up so sudden. Where did they come so suddenly from? Asked Jenai. They came from and through the Shadow World, but usually they do not go far away from their home base, answered Dionyx, and Jenai questioning, and who are these pirates? They are a special strange tribe of collectorians who are the troublemakers in this realm, and we will be talking more about them. Morai and Niama were a little puzzled as well, and agreeing with Dionyx that they usually didn't came that far away from their base. As soon Jenai had taken a deep breath, a deep rumbling earth sound started and became louder and louder. Jenai saw in the distance uncountable red and silver moon-colored round-shaped meteors coming towards them at an enormous speed. "Oh my God, we are going to be crushed!" shouted Dionyx. "Oh my God," said Jenai. "Meteors? Is Kalimobanko attacking again?" "Stop it. Don't instill fear in Jenai," spoke Morai. "That is the place we are looking for. They are the red planets, and their moons, not meteors," said Niama. Dionyx, who clearly knew what to do, flew right in between this phenomena of flying planets without crashing into them. Then, as they entered, it became very bright through the light of the silver moons. Instantly, Dionyx made skillfully a 180-degree turn and started traveling at the same speed in the same direction of the red planets and their surrounded silver moons. At that moment, as they were traveling at the same speed, it became at once still, quiet, and peaceful. They were carried by the energy of the planets, and Dionyx turned the speed of the golden space carriage to the very minimum. Portico. Niama pointed at one of the red planets and said, "That is where we are going." While approaching their destination, the Hansas started to circle several times around that particular planet. Niama spoke. "As we are still circling around, it gives us a great opportunity to look closely at this special red planet." It had become rather busy around this planet, as many other spaceships in various shapes and forms were flying in and out from the Shadow World to this red planet. Dionyx pointed out to Morai and Niama to look at the enormous amount of pirate ships, but who stayed motionless at their individual spots. "There is something strange going on, Morai, as this is unusual, and see as well the unusual amount of local defense aircrafts, carriers guarding and observing these space pirates." "We will be talking about this with Ertos," answered Morai. Jenai was not really listening, as their eyes were taken by the planet. There were seemingly entrances everywhere, and there were many craters spitting fumes in all kinds of strange colors. Those craters are the recycling doors of the inside of the planet. You could look at them as exhaust pipes or chimneys. As you can see, there is nothing growing on the surface of this planet. "But what are those things I see, those shining things?" asked Jenai. Niama replied, "In the shell of the red planet there are many crystal gem formations, and they look like windows, and in fact they are. These special windows are for the light of the many silver moons to shine into the planet's inner world." The golden space carriage stopped and hovered in front of a huge double door. in size bigger than a 3-story building and looking like a church entrance. Nyama closed her eyes for a second and waved her hand. The instant she waved her hand, the doors slowly opened. "Did you do that? And what did you do?" Jenai asked. "I received the password in combination with a sign from the gatekeeper of this realm in order to enter the Red Planet. The more you are in touch with the keepers of the universe, the more they reveal their secrets and give you permission to enter." "Can anybody enter these special worlds?" Jenai asked. "Of course. It is just a matter of tuning in or knowing the code," replied Niyama. "This is a special entrance, isn't it?" "Yes, Jenai. This is a semi-private and the closest entrance to the keeper of this realm and the main port called Portego." Dionex did not land the space carriage. They were still hovering, and when the big doors had completely opened, they glided in and entered. The inside looked like an enormous cathedral with marble floors and many pillars, or better said columns, reaching very, very high. Each one of them as wide as a house and each looking like a structure with sculptures, with many faces and artistic designs, possibly being symbols and having a meaning. Worlds within a world. The port was enormous and had many areas with structures and things happened, but all at slight different plateau heights, connecting each other with bridges and staircases. And underneath the bridges, at a lower level, she saw a maze of streets. It looked like a labyrinth, and it was hard to see if staircases were going up or down, which reminded her about the famous paintings of M.C. Escher. At the lower level, in the maze of streets, there were streets going to the north, south, west and east, streets made out of golden stones, of old stones, which had many local transportation. Beautiful, smaller, magical-looking wooden carved wagons pulled by ponies with small folk. There were also bigger wagons pulled by beautiful dressed-up horses with normal-sized folks. Individuals riding on ponies and horses were everywhere on the streets and paths leading inside and away from Portigo. The maze of streets far below was accessible by staircases. In front of them, on the different plateaus, they looked at many hotels made entirely out of marble. The roof and the side walls were decorated with hanging huge woolen rugs, and it was hard to see what was the floor and walls. "That's cool," Jenai was thinking. There were many open-air theaters, looking like Roman amphitheaters, and of course endless shops, restaurants and galleries. There is everything, and more than what a real airport needs, and it was needed here because it was overly crowded. Looking to the left, she saw an area which functioned as a domestic airport, and in addition, out of the shadow world, inhabitants on flying carpets and strange-looking dragons, serpents and birds carrying passengers were flying in and out in between the enormous pillars. The traffic was quite intense, but there was no noise coming from these kinds of transportations. She felt it was a little chilly, but as soon as the doors were closed, the temperature became pleasant. At the moment the doors closed, the music, which had been there all the time, became more distinct. It was a beautiful, soft classical music. One would think that being inside a huge stone cathedral, cathedral with many floors, the atmosphere would be grim and cold, but it was not. Now the doors were closed, warm currents of air were felt. The reddish colors reflecting from most of the inside walls of the planet, the torches shining through the thin woolen fabrics hanging down from the arches, the many over-dimensional woolen rugs spread all out over the marble floor, and of course the music made it actually very, very cozy. Strange enough, there were no outside walls in this huge cathedral, only endless columns. Looking in between them in the far distance, she saw a snow-covered landscape with forests and high mountains. What happened to my eyes? She was thinking, as she was able to use them as binoculars. Niama looked at her and spoke. This is the normal magic in these realms. Just enjoy it. As this entire world was on the inside of the red planet, with the many moons shining through the gem formation windows, everything had a slight shade of red and created a mysterious but magical feeling. The torches which were hanging against the large pillars of the cathedral gave enough light for them to make out their surroundings. But further away in the distance she could clearly see that there was more than enough light coming from the crystal and gem windows of the planet, reflecting in the snow, which was reddish by the way. Looking now up, the many pillars, which were all at different heights, and of which some had staircases or elevators inside, and others staircases winding up around the pillars or strange-looking exterior elevators, Jenai discovered another world, as there was an entire city made on top, with countless wooden gingerbread-looking homes at different heights, everywhere connected to these pillars, and the arches were used as bridges between them. She couldn't see any roof, but just shadows, possibly created between the light coming from outside the planet and the characters living far up above the pillars and arches. There was a lot of movement, as little folk was moving in between the countless homes over the arches. Jenai discovered some discomfort in her neck from trying to see it all and looked down again. That is Miniak's city, whispered Niama in her ear. Oh, so gently Dionyx had placed the golden space carriage down on the beautiful marble surface, and had dressed everybody in long, beautiful burgundy-colored robes with a hood. Before Jenai realized, the space carriage had parked, and before she could make an attempt to move, the carriage was surrounded by lots of smiling goliaths and dwarfs. Each and every one had a big smile on their reddish-brown complexion as they welcomed their guests. Goliaths and dwarfins. The dwarfins, approximately 4 feet tall, had long hair, and the males had beards, and it looked as if their hair was part of their outfit. Their face was a combination of 3 different kinds of complexions, red, brown and black, which covered the face in an angle from top right to bottom left. They had all profound noses, well-built legs, big feet and strong buttocks. These features must be connected to the earth energy, Jenai was thinking. The Goliaths, who had the same mixture face complexion, which only went diagonal the other way, were much smaller. They had no hair at all, a tiny nose, small feet, and it was as if they had no butt at all. It looked as if their pants and skirts were almost falling off. They are related, spoke Niyama. Related? They look so different. The Gullots and Dwarfins are the wardens of the earth and vegetation. They are designed to have the strength to cultivate the soil. But the Gullots do not seem to be strong at all, spoke Jenai. At one point in time, they were just as strong, but they are the ones who lost the strength and courage while going through the challenges of life. Slowly but surely, they are all regaining their strength again. Nyama was seemingly very familiar with the Gullots and Dwarfins. After she had stepped out of the golden space carriage, she was shaking hands and giving out many hugs. Then, to Jenai's surprise, they all stepped up to Morai, who also seemed to know everybody. Immediately, she realized that they would have to know Morai, the messenger of love, who delivered his crystal ornaments everywhere. Although there were so many Gullots and Dwarfins around, it was not noisy at all. It was seemingly not a place where people talked a lot, but a place where service, gentle gestures and smiling faces were dominant. One of the Dwarfins moved a hovering bed closer to the carriage, and many small hands gently moved Morai from the golden space carriage onto the magical flying wooden bed with a very comfortable mattress. Jenai could not stop looking at the Dwarfins and Gullots, who were dressed in beautiful warm earth-color clothes made of wool. Jenai took a closer look at the entrance area of the cathedral, or was it better said port, looking at quite some interesting body and characters, visitors from other planets in the universe. There was so much to see. Then she noticed moving images inside the stone pillars and even in the floor, but they were almost invisible at the same time. Before she could ask something about this, not too far in front of her a small group of individuals wearing long black robes with hoods were attacked by these images that came out from the stone pillars and floors. The individuals wearing the black robes had bent over distorted-looking bodies, and some were completely out of shape. Their faces with many piercings looked grim and ugly. Their fingers with long nails were like claws, and looking at their feet, although they were wearing shoes, they must have had the same claw-like toes. They didn't move easy because of the strange feet they had, but the strangest of all was that when the fight started, that from underneath their robes a tail appeared, which was shaped at the end as an arrowhead with a fishhook. At the moment these almost invisible images jumped out from the stone pillars and floors, they became strong individuals dressed in deep red-colored coats without sleeves. They all had enormous arms, like those from bodybuilders. Their heads were square, with army-cut hair and snake eyes. They were fast, and in no time the entire group was arrested. "What was that?" asked Jenai, looking at Niyama. Securions and Collectarians. That is the local police force, called Securions. They live half in this world and half in another. They just got hold of a group of Collectarians, who are the thieves and troublemakers in this realm. They're coming from Darkania. I figured already out that they were Collectarians, but why do they all have long ropes even covering their head, except for their faces with many piercings and tattoos? And what about their hands and feet and tail? I will explain this later to you, Jenai, spoke Niyama. Everybody knows that they are trouble, but they move around freely and can only get arrested caught in the act of stealing or making trouble. The Securions are hidden and invisible to their eyes. and everybody here is happy to have this protecting force. The Securions do not carry any weapons, but are brutally strong, and each one of them can easily take care of 5 Collecterians who are not of the strongest kind. As the group got escorted away, hand and tail cuffed, from the area, Jenai looked once more in between the huge pillars at the world outside the cathedral and the world above with her new eyesight. "I love Portago," spoke Marai. "It stands for Crystallia, the transitory world called creation, which is the world of coming and going, but which fact often is forgotten as everybody is too busy with the transitory things. For those who understand the message of the port, it is a beautiful reminder of the fact that we are just visitors on a momentary adventure." Jenai was on another track in her mind and wanted to ask something to Serena, and when she spoke the word Serena, she came flying out of her pouch and hovering to her surprise next to her left ear. Serena spoke before Jenai had even said anything, which was also unusual. "Where can I go for you, Jenai?" Jenai thought this program, which was installed inside her robo-elf, never worked. But the reflective communication program was not working anymore. "Can you go to those mountains, Serena, and come back giving me some more information?" "Okay," said Serena, who took off in a high speed. The dwarfins were still talking with Dionyx, who had walked back to the landing place. The dwarfins were seemingly in charge, taking care of the swans, their food and their resting quarters. The golden space carriage was put onto a small trailer and sent up for a checkup service. Jenai could hear Dionyx saying, "Change the wheels and check the engine." The dwarfins were turning their eyes and continued with their job. Dionyx then gave some important instructions to the dwarfins and gullets, who transported the golden space carriage to a hangar for spaceships. Ertos, one of the keepers of the universe. After Dionyx had joined them, the floor area they were standing on lifted itself up and hovered in between the spaceships away from the entrance area, more into the main area of the cathedral, looking like place. Jenai looked back at the space they had just left on the hovering floor, and to her surprise there was no empty space, but the floor was normal. "Let's cover our heads, please, otherwise everybody will recognize Marai, and he will not have any peace," said Dionyx. After some time the floor stopped, went down, and became part of the floor again. Then, in front of them, a huge silver moon began rising through the marble floor, and in front of it a huge throne with a soft smiling face, a very tall, majestic-looking person sitting on it. This universal being, who was neither man nor woman, but appeared to be both in one, was dressed in a long reddish-looking woolen robe, with a pastel pattern artistically decorated with black, brown, and red gemstones. At the chest level, Jenai noticed a big round medallion with a round symbol slowly spinning around. The majestic character was holding a long wooden scepter in the right hand, and on top of the scepter was a shining bloodstone. Its face reminded Jenai of the beautiful masks she had seen in Venice in Italy, but it was no mask, but its skin. Looking like a helmet, a red and brown marble pastel pattern was coming from the neck, continuing over its entire head and ending like the shape of 2 diamonds down into the gray-colored cheeks. The eyes were of a beautiful deep dark brown color, and the beautiful nose fell into the part of the gray-colored bottom part of the face. Looking at the neck, hands, and the little she could see of the forearms, its skin looked beautiful brown. The person seemed to be in a state of trance, and there was a distinct deep dough sound coming from its body, making one feel relaxed, grounded, and cozy. The majestic person opened for a moment its eyes very wide and bowed to them, and then they returned the gesture. Jenai didn't know why she spontaneously made the same gesture back, but it felt natural, and the right thing to do. Immediately, the area around the person became crowded with characters from all over the universe. Jenai's eyes were full with fascination and her mouth was wide open. While she was looking at this majestic person, various smells were coming towards her. She had smelt these scents before, but at this time, something inside revealed to her the various names of these scents. The scents of patchouli, ginger, oak moss, sandalwood, cedarwood, and pine. "It is magical, Jenai, isn't it?" said Niyama. As there were no words coming from this imposing figure, Jenai whispered to Niyama, "Who is this, and why did we bring Morai here? I am very curious." "This is Erthos, one of the 7 main keepers of the 7 dimensions of the universe," answered Niyama. "A universal, powerful being, neither man nor woman. Erthos, next to being in charge to supply the created world with solids and earth substances to build with, he is also the gatekeeper of all the self-healing powers connected to the element of earth, which we will find here on this planet. Morai will go through a number of treatments in order to get well." Niyama continued, "I have been here many times and it is actually amazing not just to learn and experience all that is offered, but to know that all the self-healing powers that Morai will experience are also to be found on planet Earth, just as they are to be found anywhere in the universe. Maybe not all of them exactly the same as we see here, but definitely the self-healing powers of Erthos are a help to everything and everybody." "Are we going to talk with her, him, or do I need to say it?" "You can address Erthos with him," answered Niyama, continuing. "He first has to attend to answering the daily questions from his people in his realm and visitors, and then attending to the mail. As soon as the first individual addressed a question to Erthos, his entire face changed into a handsome human male face." Did you all see that, or is it just my imagination?" "You are seeing right," spoke Morai. "Erthos, just like everyone, has many faces and personality, and his superior is Kalimobanko." "Kalimobanko is his boss?" "Of course, because Kalimobanko is the governor of Crystalia, the creation, and Erthos is one of the 7 main keepers of the universe, which is part of the creation." "But then how can we trust Erthos?" "He can be trusted just like yourself, created with opposites, and who is connected to the mind and subject to Kalimobanko. Kalimobanko is also your boss, Jenai, because as long as the mind is under the influence of the sense organs and is not 100% under the control of the soul within, Kalimobanko stays the boss. There is duality, change, and many faces in all of us, and within us, I mean the mind. It is about learning to understand how Kalimobanko, the mind, and the universe function in order to deal better with life and to get a different perspective. Observe Erthos and his realm, and you will learn a lot about yourself and creation." It dawned on Jenai that Erthos was one of the treasures her father had been searching for. He was one of the members of the Sacred Council. "Is Erthos also one of the Sacred Council members, Morai?" You got it, Jenai. So learn from him and press on your power star. Jenai pressed on her power star and could see clearly the four main aspects of Ertos. The right representing the letting go of everything offered in life, meaning that we all come without anything and one day will leave without anything. The left represents the other side of the adventure when man tries to hold on to the things of the creation. The south represents the downfall into greed, which is about me and mine and of course control. The antidote, cure, and highest virtue is in the north, and it is to live with selflessness, realizing that all is a gift, and that every gift needs to be respected and taken care of. In her mind, she got a picture of two pyramids glued together, one on top of the other, pointing down and creating 4 points, each representing one aspect of Ertos. She heard Niama saying, "The Dwarfons and the Golots here in Portugal are beautiful examples of service and selflessness. They are simple folk, realizing that everything is a momentary gift. They are content and serve without any reward in mind." As soon as Jenai returned from being inside her power star, she fast opened her mini-computer and created a file with the title Ertos, and she intended to dictate and document everything down regarding him, each time when she got the time. What a great discovery, she thought. At the moment she had this thought, she as well decided to make files on Morai, Dionyx, and Niama, but didn't want to ask if they as well were members of the Sacred Council. They must be, and all their wisdom I am going to record. She looked at Morai and Niama, who seemed to be nodding their heads lightly and giving her the confirmation. "And do not forget to start filling in the blanks on the Sacred Wisdom map," whispered Dionyx in her ears. How could I have missed that, she was thinking. This realm represents the color red, and I will keep my eyes and ears open for everything. Everything here seems to be a part of the treasures Dad was looking for. Wow! And I just saw the first symbol on Ertos' chest. Jenai went inside the crowd having an audience with Ertos, and she heard about the struggle the people had, all related to control, and Ertos always answering and guiding his people in a very gentle way, and teaching them how to assist others in situations instead of trying to control them. She wanted to ask some questions, but didn't feel comfortable to do so. After some time, she returned and joined her 3 friends. Emotions suddenly came up inside Jenai, who could not completely agree with Ertos' approach. "It feels to me that Ertos should be much tougher and laying down the rules. Everybody is just complaining and nagging." Morai, who was still down and comfortable in his hovering bed, commented, "People always try to control others and the world around them, but not seeing that life controls them more than they think. Think about the needs of the physical body, the effects of different weather, the phenomena day and night, everything having 2 sides, the ongoing changes of life and the economy. People tend to create a security system based on control and forgetting that the system will control them. When Ertos would be going more into trying to control everybody, he would have to face much more problems. I think he's doing a good job." "But why do people do this?" asked Jenai. "The cause is separation of consciousness with Kandu, the creator and life sustainer of it all. Without this interconnection, we have no real base, no real foundation. As a desperate reaction, everybody seeks different foundations, but all these foundations are like building castles in mid-air, for there is nothing permanent. Everything and everybody comes and goes. There is almost nothing, except for the mind that we could learn to control. Jenai was watching Ertos, who started to read and sign many papers handed by several servants. This is going to take a while, spoke Niyama. Let's sit down over there, pointing at an area created like a comfortable living room, but in open space. The visitors sat down in comfortable sofas, and Morai stayed down on his floating bed. Dionyx mentioned to be careful, as they had been noticed by various individual collectorians, always on the look to steal anything. He went up to one of the images of the Securions being part of one of the columns. In no time there were many more Securions around them, being their protection. Some individuals had recognized Morai and came closer, but Niyama asked them just to sit around Morai and to not make it too obvious. Jenai found out very fast that wherever there was a little crowd around Morai, that he was asked to give a small discourse. The 4 C's. It all happened so naturally and with ease. When strangers had gathered around Morai, everybody was instantly and absolutely silent. And then he started to talk. Dear friends, let me share with you the story of the 4 C's. And the first one is control. Realize that whatever we try to control, people, businesses, and situations, we will have to carry, which is the second C. We all complain, which is the third C. That our shoulders are too tight and heavy and that we have to carry so much, but it is us who are putting this burden upon ourselves. We all came without anything, and one day we'll go without anything. But while being here, we are like pack rats. Look what we all have collected, or what we think is ours. Everything is just lent to us for a while, but we make everything ours. And the obligations and the control and carrying of it all makes us constipated, which is the 4th C. We can feel so heavy and burdened or becoming heavy and even getting constipated on many levels, not just from carrying too much waste in our body, but constipated on a physical, mental, financial, and emotional level. Actually, when someone is constipated, it is a combination of all these levels, for everything is connected and interconnected. We block or create a blockage in the constant stream of life inside ourselves and around us. Call it constipation, traffic jam, or blockage, and this will create other problems. The opposite way of living is handing all our burdens over to Kondo, cleaning up and simplifying life, not trying to control anybody or anything. Replace the word controlling with assisting. Assisting ourselves in all aspects of life and assisting others through life is the antidote for the 4 C's. This again is connected to another A named accepting, which is the first thing to do in every moment and situation. And when we forget this, we are right back in the battle and conquered by the 4 C's. Dionyx asked the small crowd to let Morai rest, after which they all left. Jenai noticed that everybody greeted in a special way, by connecting the thumb with the little finger on the left hand and then bringing the 2 fingers to their forehead and at the same time making a slight forward bend. She had also seen this when they arrived, but had not put any thought to this gesture. Niyama, picking up on Jenai, explained that the little finger represented the energy of the earth and the thumb our ego, There is very little strength keeping those two fingers together when you let someone else pull them away from each other. This gesture symbolically expresses that we have very little control and that we cannot hold on to the things of this world. Jenai made the gesture and Niyama easily pulled the two fingers apart. Life credits. After some time, Niyama and Jenai decided to walk around. It was very busy with unfamiliar faces from all over the universe, and Jenai observed everything around her and was fascinated with everything. When she saw a juice bar, she went up to the funny-looking gullet, asked some questions, and came back disappointed to Niyama. "The lady gullet asked me for life credits." "Oh, I forgot to tell you all about that, Jenai. Let's go to one of the universal banks." They walked a little and stepped into the universal bank, where Jenai received her credit card, hearing that she had plenty of credit accumulated during her life. Niyama explaining, "It is a great system where you can earn life credits by taking care of your planet, by taking care of yourself, by taking breaks and taking care of your health, by gaining knowledge and becoming more aware, by improving your lifestyle, by making better choices, by going better and easier through similar life challenges, by taking care of others, by listening to the Sacred Council members, by reading and listening to information and attending seminars, by buying healthy and environmental friendly products, by working with the highest virtues within you and by meditating and by silent inner prayer. Last but not least, you also have to keep the good work up every day, otherwise you lose life credits." The person at the counter explained her that this card registers all payments and adds life credits by doing good deeds. "How does the card know that you do a good deed?" "The card senses it, or somebody else seeing you doing good things will see your card number and by pressing on a spot on the card will call this into your bank. The system works pretty good as everybody seeks to do and acknowledges good deeds." After leaving the bank, Niyama explained her that the collectarians do not have life credits and had created their own cities and systems based on money, and because most of them cannot buy things in other cities other than their own, they came here to steal. It came to Jenai's mind as well that she had not seen any collectarians with weapons, and asked about this. Portugal is very much protected on the outside by the Securians, and weapons are impossible to smuggle inside. Remember, the local aircraft carriers guarding and observing the planet before we entered Portugal? Walking around, Jenai picked up some trash and deposited it in a garbage container and heard a voice sound coming from her new card telling her that she just gained life credits, and Niyama explained her to switch off the volume. Jenai looked around to see who called in for her but couldn't get any person near in eye contact. The garbage containers are big in size and had all kinds of lids with signs for different wastes. Jenai noticed that they are not removable containers and spoke. "How do they pick the garbage up, Niyama?" "It goes straight down to Cyclondor below, where the recyclons take care of it all." "Cyclondor? Recyclons? What is all that?" "We will go out one of these nights and you will see them, for they only work at night." They walked around, visiting one plateau after the other and seeing many amphitheaters with African drummers, opera performances and symphony orchestras. With all these new impressions, Jenai felt a little airy, but when she participated in one of the marketplaces in some African dances, she felt more grounded again. Walking around, she read the same sign over and over again, stating the following: "Don't arrive at the last minute. Have possible just hand luggage with you. Dress in easy clothing and comfortable shoes. Have some healthy food and snacks with you. Be at the airport and make the best out of it. Be in the moment. Always be ready for delays and realize that there is no guarantee that you will leave. Be well rested before any traveling. When you travel with children, have plenty of toys and enjoy being together." One of the busiest plateaus, Jenai read a sign on a shop: "Diurnek's Fashion Shop." Diurnek's has a shop here? He has a chain of shops in various places in the universe, and this particular one offers clothing made from wool or clothing in earth colors, which are great elements for comfort and feeling grounded. All specially designed for Urto's realm. They watched a short fashion show and Niyama bought Jenai on her life credits a beautiful woolen scarf. After they left the shop, they continued exploring Portugal. Jenai added to her file Urtos and the Sacred Wisdom map, the connected fabrics, earth colors, and the scents. At one point, Niyama had to go off to one of the public bathrooms and Jenai was all by herself. A party of half-drunk collectarians were passing by and two of them came up to her. Jenai didn't know what to do and pressed on her power star. "Looking for some guns to finish these guys off?" she heard a voice speaking behind her. In front of her, while standing in the middle of a four-pointed star or pyramid, a strange-looking character with horns on the head spoke: "Nothing is yours to begin with. Give these thieves with love what they want." The same character on the right side spoke: "Accept the situation, as if you created it for some reason. When you don't, you become a victim of this circumstance." The character on the left spoke: "Run, or resist as much as possible." Jenai started the conversation with an angry voice saying, "How can I have created the situation? They have trapped me. I do not want to give these thieves whatever they want. But what can I do? I cannot run nor fight them. I'm afraid and angry." Because Jenai was speaking to somebody, the collectarians could not see it confused the gang members and thought the young girl had gone mad. Jenai felt a pull on her and pressed on the power star and saw the thieves running off with her new scarf. Jenai started to cry and sat defeated on the ground. When Niyama returned, she explained the situation. "Where are the Securions, Niyama? I am not sure. Just try to calm down and let's go back to Morai." After they returned to the spot they had left Morai and Dionyx behind, Jenai explained what happened. "So, you pressed the power star and took the advice?" "No, I didn't follow any advice. I started to question and argue. I didn't feel that I created the situation. I didn't want to give these folks anything, and I'm still angry that they took my scarf. And when we have to tell the Securions, I want justice." "No problem, Jenai. We will report this, but as long you feel to be a victim of that situation, not too much will get solved. Maybe I get my scar back?" "Possibly. And when that would not happen, how would you feel?" "Angry." "That is exactly what I meant. Nothing will be solved. But how did I create a situation?" "Sometimes it's very hard to see why, but when we do not accept and claim it is ours, we stay victims." "And what should I have done?" "I think you did the right thing for that moment. You loudly argument with someone the thieves couldn't see probably confused them, and they didn't know what to think about it. But they still got my new scarf. We come without anything and will go without anything. Everything is just a momentary gift. Realize that you are just the treasurer and manager of the momentary gifts of life. Everything comes and goes in many different ways. Just repeat inside your mind, nothing is mine because never anything belonged to me. And for that reason, how can I feel that things are taken from me? But I still feel that combination of fear and anger and pain. Let the fear go. And the pain you feel when things and people have to leave is just your attachments to them. You trying to control and hold on to them. Jenai started talking about wanting to pick up her old training in judo and aikido, but Mariah asking Jenai, I know you want to pick up judo and aikido, but you must do this for the right reasons. What do you mean with that? When you base your training on fear and or anger, you will attract even more situations to yourself. I do not understand, Mariah. Dionyx took advantage of the situation and had dressed Chennai up into a ninja fighter outfit. Realize that the ones who are doing wrong are living in the world of fear, which they disguise through anger and being bad. So, when you base your learning on the same, you will stay like them and call them into your life. But how do I defend myself? This is what I'm telling you. You need to come to terms first with your own fears. Let me explain it in another way. It is the same thing when someone takes an insurance policy in their life based on fear, which is basically asking for things to happen. People do not see it in this way, how the subtle laws of the universe work. And when something happens, and they need to claim from the insurance, they even call themselves smart. So taking insurances are bad? No, not at all. It is the motive behind it all. So I'm asking you again, Jenai, what your motives are by wanting to pick up these martial art skills. I want to be able to defend myself. Jenai was getting a little irritated. When I would be you, Jenai, when I may say, I wouldn't start with the training yet. Let's go back in time. Why did you like judo and aikido when you were young? They felt like a dance to me, another form of dance other than the ones I was getting from my dance teachers. Did your father or mother have you involved with judo and aikido in order to defend yourself or hurt others? I am not sure, but when I think about it, I don't think so. So, we will work on your fear through other means, and when you pick up these skills up, do it for the sake of fun and dance. Could we leave it by that for the moment, Chennai? Okay, Morai, but I still want my scar back. At that point, Diane changed Chennai back into her robe again. Toro, the decoder. Niyama wanted to distract Chennai and asked her, Chennai, do you want to hear more about Earthos' self-healing powers? While listening, Jenai noticed a huge shadow moving around them, and Direnex commented, Who invited the ghosts? Niyama knew what was happening and spoke. Just stop it, Direnex, and you Jenai don't be afraid. It is our friend Toro, the decoder. He is always around to give information about healing, how we create imbalances, and how we can recreate those imbalances into balance again. His particular mission is sharing information and making us understand that any sign, symptom, disease, accident, discomfort, or in other words, any imbalance, is nothing more than a message. These messages are wake-up calls from the inside ourselves, trying to tell us about an imbalance, asking for attention and change, in order to recreate balance. By accepting these important messages, Toro will assist to decode them, gives us a deeper understanding, and he will give us some directions where to go and what to do. People call him often the travel agent to self-healing. As we are in the realm of Ertos, he will assist us by decoding those imbalances connected to Ertos. Several times I have seen him giving visitors over 50 possibilities to start their self-healing assisting adventure, in addition to recommending the person to see their healthcare practitioner. That's incredible, reacted Jenai. He has a flying office, and that is better, for he would have an office somewhere, he would never be there. He's always on the go, added Direnex. Niama continued, saying, he's always around, Jenai, but you must invite him in your life because he needs to know if you really want his knowledge. Once he knows that he is welcome, he will show up more often. Jenai stood up and spoke. Toro, please show yourself. I wish to learn from you. That is for sure another sacred council member, she was thinking. Slowly, the shadow changed into a more visible form. There he was, riding on the back of a giant eagle, flying in between the huge columns. Suddenly, he let himself fall off sideways, made some acrobatic rolls in the air, and landed softly next to them. The eagle disappeared back into the shadow world. His physical form was a form of what you could say close to a such-called perfect physical body, with healthy shaped muscles, a young and vibrant complexion, and crystal clear eyes. At first it was hard to figure out what he was wearing, as it changed constantly. He was wearing a beautiful long red robe embroidered with yellow snakes and dragons, and then a second later one could see his robe, but couldn't see his robe, but him wearing a t-shirt with the same embroidered figures, and then that disappeared, and he was dressed in a light red-colored bodysuit. While watching the eyes of Jenai, he said, "Hi, folks. Sorry to keep you waiting. I had to dress up quickly in my Ertos suit, which shows you the major Earth energy connections of the human body connected to Ertos." He went up to hug everybody and gave Jenai an extra one. "What happened to you, my old friend Morai?" Toro said. After Jenai had explained what had happened, he continued speaking. "Let me explain a little bit about Ertos, Ertos' main energy connections, and why Niama brought Morai here. As soon as he showed up, many visitors who had heard about him gathered and started asking him to help them with their dilemmas. This is my praxis, with low overhead. Excuse me for a minute. I have to attend to these clients," he spoke, with a smile on his face. Visitors came up to him with messages of imbalance, which he connected to the energy of Earth, and Jenai went up closer. Toro was soft in his voice, but fast and to the point. He made sure that nobody started to complain, but made sure that there was something to learn and a possible change when confronted with pain, sickness, or any other troubles. He made it very fast clear that in his eyes everything that happens, what we usually call trouble, challenges, discomfort, sickness, and pain, is a magical and symbolic message. That they are there for a good reason, and there to assist us to empower, make a change, and to help ourselves. Jenai focused and realized from all his answers that the self-healing powers of Erthos are as well for those who are feeling unstable, and insecure, for those who work too much and lose ground, and for those working with greed and control. He then started to ask questions and spoke, "Anyone can answer my questions that are all helping you to understand more about the connections to the earth energy and Earthos." Jenai studied Toro and saw the connections to the earth energy, which were the deeper red colored areas on his bodysuit. When you have difficulty with the answers, just look at the connections on my bodysuit. With which finger do people in generally clean their ears and nose with? The little finger, shouted some character that had a bee-like face and was very thin. What is the densest material of your body? Is it your organs, bones, or muscles? Bones, answered someone in the crowd, whose body and face had tentacles everywhere. What is your physical foundation of your body? The skeleton, answered Chennai. Which toes have in general most calluses and are the densest in structure? The little toes, answered another character, and Jenai, looking at his feet and seeing that all his toes were all just little toes. From which area do we eliminate? It took too long for Thor that someone answered. We seem all have problems to talk about certain areas or speak certain words. It is the rectum. All the heads in the crowd nodded. When the body has accumulated too much waste, on which part does the body tries to clean and eliminate other than going to the bathroom? The skin, answered another character whose skin looked sick and scary, but seemingly had become aware while visiting the red planet. Jenai received an image of some of her friends and as well the faces of the Collecterians. Toro, picking up on Jenai's thoughts, added, often teenagers at this time in their life experience, they experience a hormonal change. And in addition, they do not eat well, do not like the situations they are in, and their skin breaks out. Unfortunately, they need to wait to really break out for many years before they become independent. With which part of your body are you connected the most to the earth? The feet, answered Chennai very fast. Excellent. It became more and more busy, probably due to the fact that Toro was having an open workshop, but the word had gone around that Mariah Morrow was present, but was not well. More and more individuals gathered, and the dynamic workshop evolved by itself. Slowly, out of the floor came seats and everybody just sat down, and Toro was elevated as the area he stood on rose to a higher height so everybody could see him. Toro, please talk to us about pain and discomforts, asked one of the new visitors. Let me explain how to look at pain and discomforts. In my world, we look at pain, discomforts, and illness in a different way. We look at them as messages. Compare it with receiving emails and faxes in your world. Pain, suffering, accidents, signs, symptoms, and disease are mostly looked upon as something negative. They are not something negative, but are guides and guidance, telling us that something is out of balance and that something needs to change. Most of the time we can make practical changes, but when that is not possible, we can always change our perspective and attitude, which is already a healing within itself. Mostly when we are confronted with these messages, we don't want to deal with them, as we see them as an interference with our life. In most cases, when the messages are too strong, we go to healthcare practitioners with the belief that they alone are all-knowing what we need and having the expectation to fix us as soon as possible. We have lost a lot of knowledge on self-healing. When we don't heed the little messages given to us in life, they grow into big wake-up calls. We do not understand what is happening as we see everything that happens as coming from the outside, and this makes us believe that we are actually victims of external actions created by someone or something that causes us pain and discomfort. These messages are like the cry of an infant which needs to be accepted and acknowledged, asking for assistance. Jenai was listening with great interest and had switched on her computer, which was recording all the information by itself. Toro continued saying, as long as we point to something outside that seemingly did or is doing something to us, we give our power away and become victims of that circumstance. Dionyx jumped in the conversation. Hey, what about that character who drove last week against the golden space carriage? I could see that one clear, answered Morai. You needed a message to slow down. You were pushing it too much. It was the same year some years ago when you got upset that one of the Hansas had no energy left. That was another message. Dionyx's face frowned, looked into the air and nodded. Some spectators were laughing, and to make it easy for himself, as if he was just joking, Dionyx had changed himself into a funny clown's outfit. Another individual with a serious and angry face spoke, but what about somebody who makes you angry? Anger is already inside of you, and sometimes others trigger that, but it is still your anger. You are not dealing well with the situation, answered Toro very quickly. And what about someone or something that makes me sick? Asked someone else. Everything is already inside of us, and anything that triggers something inside of us can be looked at as a message. All illnesses are within us and can come to the surface, but it also doesn't have to. It all depends what we think and do in life and how we look at it all. When we accept the message and that there is something to be done within ourselves, we are empowered. Anyway, remember that as long as we point with the finger, we stay victims of circumstances and stay delivered in the hands of others from who we demand to take care of us. So, how can Morai be helped? Asked Jenai. Toro looked at Morai and asked, have you accepted what is going on with your back? Yes, he answered. I have been overdoing it lately, and I know I should have slowed down some months ago when the first aches were showing up. Toro, looking at Nyama and then to Morai, continued speaking. We could do several things to help you to assist you with your back pains, because your back pains are just a message, expressing itself at your weakest spot. But actually, there are many other factors that contributed to the message before it became what you know as back pain. Surely one of them, Morai, is that you have gained some weight, which is not easy for your skeleton, as it has to carry all this excess weight. Fair, said Morai. Coincidence or not, a group of overweight, strange-looking characters passed by and everybody looked at them. They, they are from Fast Food Planet, and they are here to make some important changes and undergoing therapy. Now, let's come back to Morai. You could do something about your posture, and maybe I could assist you how to sit and stand better, and not to forget exercising, how to pick things up while loading the golden space carriage with all the presents, in such a way so you do not strain your back. I'm open for that. Anything else? You can choose to undergo some natural detoxification baths. I suggest you to experience eating the foods that come from below the soil, each with their specific self-healing contribution. I also recommend you to get into the habit of doing some strength-contributing exercises, for when the body is stronger, you can do more physical labor, lift heavier things, and at the same time feel more grounded and connected to the earth. Let's see how I can be of assistance. We will be talking more about you, Morai, when the time is right. For the moment, you need to rest. Many questions still came in regards to Morai as everybody was concerned, and Toro saying that it would take some time. Jenai got distracted by looking at the strange individuals from all over the universe. She became quiet and was processing the information. After some time, Toro finished his question and answers with the crowd dispersed, and the seats went down and became one with the floor again, and the elevated area of the floor Toro had been standing on also went down. Toro thanked everybody for being able to give some information. See you soon. I have some other urgent business to attend. Then he started to run, made some cartwheels and backflips, bounced off the ground, clapped in his hands, and there was the eagle coming out of the shadow world, and Toro landed smoothly on top and disappeared. A couple of minutes later, a dwarfen came with a message from Uthos, apologizing that he could not meet them as he had to attend some other urgent business, and that he would see them in several days. He had made arrangements in a hotel in Minyak City, and a therapist would pass by daily to assist Morai.